and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting Creative podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart, and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. This is the third time I've now said that in the last 10 minutes. I hope you're all doing well. I'm sat here with my baby monitor, so if you hear any strange noises, it's him or it's picking up noises from outside. And how are you all? I am mixed bag, to be perfectly honest. Last night, or yesterday afternoon even, we came back from staying with the baby and I went to go visit my mother-in-law, so his grandparents. I mean, we're not married, but you know, may as well be. I don't know why I always qualify that. It feels weird because, I mean, they're not my parents-in-law because we're not married, but then it gets very complicated to say my partner's parents over and over again. So anyway, yes, it's kind of more or less the same thing. But yeah, so I just me and myself, not my partner, went on the train to Suffolk to go stay with them because I'm on my last couple of days before going back to work. And I was hoping to have a seaside holiday with the baby. And unfortunately, he got quite ill. He got an ear infection. He had a hell of a week last week, actually. He did his first few sessions at nursery, which were terrible. He had his year 1 jabs, which were terrible. They have one in each arm and one in each leg. We don't need to talk about vaccines with you for or against, whatever. That's not the conversation we're having here. And then he got an ear infection, which we didn't pick up on right away because they warn you that the injections have a delayed reaction with fevers. And so we all thought it was that. Turned out it wasn't. So poor little mite. So we didn't get to go to the seaside or swimming, but we did have some nice times in between the screaming matches from his poor little ear. And we came back yesterday. It's quite a long train journey from Suffolk to Birmingham. And we're in that awkward phase where it always happens whenever we have grandparents come stay with us or we go stay with them. You know, he enjoys having the full-on attention all the time, and then we come back and it's just me again. And he gets bored really quickly. I can't get dressed, I can't brush my teeth or anything without a full-scale meltdown. So this morning I'm feeling a bit like an emotional punch bag. I'm not tired because I got quite a lot of rest whilst I was staying with the grandparents. They were really lovely, and when they got up at 6 because they're early morning risers, they were taking him for a walk with the dog and I was going back to bed for a little bit. And so I had lots of lie-ins and I was treated really well. I only cooked 1 meal the whole time I was there. 2 maybe. Did barely any washing up, you know, I was quite lazy. It was really nice. But this morning I have all the feels. The going back to work on Monday feels. It's Thursday today. Apprehension about nursery this afternoon. Apprehension about nursery tomorrow and Monday because they're the longer sessions. At the moment he's not done any more really than an hour and a half. This afternoon it's 2 hours. It was meant to be 2 hours last week, but it was so awful I had to intervene. Basically I'm not going to go into this too much because this is a creative podcast, not a life update, but you're getting one because that's how I'm feeling. It'll be brief, I promise. I never considered how hard it'd be for him to go to sleep around other children because he's never done that. Right now he's asleep on his own bed in the dark, just with road noises. I mean, where we live is fairly quiet, but it is a city, and that's how he sleeps. He doesn't sleep surrounded by other children making lots of noise, obviously, because I only have the one. So it's really, really hard because he has mammoth naps normally in the morning quite early. And so when I've been taking him for settling in sessions, they've been right as he would like to go to sleep. And so that was really bad planning on my part. It's been bad. So I'm hoping, because this one's this afternoon and he would have had his mammoth nap this morning, hopefully he'll do a nice big sleep. His sleep's been quite disrupted whilst we've been away because we've been doing things. And that this afternoon will go well. He'll have a positive experience. And then who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. He's booked in for half a day, starting in the morning. So I'm a bit anxious about that. But I'm not going to change it for an afternoon session because Monday he's got to go all day because I'm going back to work on Monday. Then I have Tuesday off and then I'm working Wednesday, Thursday. But yeah, so because I'm only going back 3 days a week, thank God. I don't know how I'd be coping with the thought of going back full time and him having to go to nursery full time from next week. I think I would be an absolute mess. I already feel like I'm on the edge of being a bit of an anxious mess, to be honest. So anyway, that's kind of what's been going on. We are really working big time on our future house, renovation wise. I have been decorating current baby boy's bedroom because it was awful and it now looks really beautiful. I'm not quite finished, so maybe I'll share a bit when it's done. I've got a few more sort of finishing touches to do, a few more things to put on the walls, a few things to sort out and put away. I'm trying to figure out toy storage because at the moment he's not really playing with things, he's more pulling everything off the shelves and scattering them across the floor. And so I think less might be more. So I'm trying to work out how I can store some of the toys in his room without him realising they're there, which is a bit tricky. Because if he can see it now, he wants it. And we have a lot of Duplo coming our way. I found some in the street the other day and that someone was getting rid of. Don't worry, it was all clean. Someone just, around here, if you don't want something, if you put it outside your front door, people will take it. Which is really lovely because it means we quite often find things that are useful for free and then we can, pay that back and give away things we no longer use. And so this was a huge box of Duplo. And then I have some bits from when I was little. So knowing what he's like at the moment, I don't want unfettered access to the Duplo. So I'm thinking maybe some clip-top boxes under the bed or something. I need to sort it out. I need to go through the Duplo, work out if we're keeping it all, whether we want to pass them on, if we've got too much, etc. So yes, anyway, that's kind of been life over the last couple of weeks. I had tonsillitis. I don't know if that happened before the last video. I feel like I had it a second time. He got ill. We had his first birthday, which was lovely. We've been renovating and decorating and nursery settling and gearing up to go back to work and trying to get into some kind of life rhythm again, because I've had no real rhythm for a long time. I would have been off work 14 months between my 12 months maternity leave and then I had quite a lot of annual leave because I went from working full-time to part-time. So I had the year's worth of full-time annual leave to take on a part-time basis. So it has worked out really well. We've been really lucky. We've had a lovely time together, but I can't help but feel he's still too young for me to leave him. And so I'm feeling quite sad. But at the same time, he's a handful now and I'm quite looking forward to having a peaceful break. It's just at the moment it's not very peaceful when you're very anxious about how they're doing because it's not going so well. But it will because he loves children. We've just got to sort out the sleep thing and the eating thing because he's not that happy eating in a new situation either, it turns out. So, yeah, fairly fundamental things, eating and sleeping. But that's where we're at. So I have done a fair bit of knitting. It looks like more than it is because I did have some help with one of the projects, which I'll share. I'm in the midst of a couple of sewing projects and all being well tomorrow, I should have half a day to myself. And so I'm hoping to finish those sewing projects tomorrow. So this might have a bit on the end of the video with a few more clips or another chatty bit. I don't know. We shall see. And I might get a chance to record some clips of me doing other things. I have some high and mighty ideas for what I'm going to do tomorrow. But when I had 2 hours off the other day, I had the same high and mighty aspirations. And because nursery was such a train wreck, I didn't actually really even get a chance to eat breakfast. So it is what it is. I've got some very hot green jasmine tea, so it's too hot. Anyway, where should we start? I have no finished objects. I think I did last time. I don't know. So I'm just checking the baby monitor. I really can't remember what I shared last time. I think it was some summer knits and a cowl and things like that. So I picked up a Languishing whip. And then I've abandoned it again since. I started knitting a Icelandic jumper for my godmother, which I've knit before. And that's one I'm knitting with help from my mother, but it's now me finishing off. I've cast on a new jumper for baby boy, and I am sewing another one of these jumpsuits. So this is the Zadie Jumpsuit by, it might be by Helen's Closet. I think it is. style arc as the bod pants. So I think this is Helen's closet. Anyway, it's the Zadie Jumpsuit, and this one is sewn in a green linen I bought from my local fabric shop. It's probably not my favourite shade of green, but I do wear it quite a lot. It's quite useful with the baby because of its wrap front, and it's got pockets, and the linen feels quite robust, so I feel quite confident crawling around on the floor in it. And I'll probably wear it to work when I go back to work. But yes, so wearing that. And so I'm sewing another one of those, but a bit fancier for a wedding, and I will share that when I get to the sewing bit. So let's start with my jumper. So I will try and remember to put the name of the jumper on the screen because I have no idea how you pronounce it. I think it might be an Icelandic name because I think it was featured in one of the Icelandic Wool Week magazines, publications. Sorry, whatever it is. I think the designer is Jennifer Steinglass. Again, not really sure, but if I don't put it on the screen, it'll all be in the description below. And I'm knitting it in predominantly Let Lopi. The whole thing was going to be in Let Lopi, but you need 3 colours, and I thought I'd ordered the same 3 colours I used on my mum's, but it turns out that I'd misordered one of the greys, which I haven't started using yet, and so the contrast wasn't good enough. I thought I'd ordered something this colour, but I hadn't. So it was more basically a grey version of this. It was too light. So my third colour, which I don't have with me, is like a medium grey. So this is the number, I think it's number 86, Let Lopi. It's like an oatmeal beige, and it's my favourite Let Lopi. This is Gilliatt by Drem Natura. I can't remember the name of the colourway, but it's like the blacky sort of, it's not quite black, but it's almost black. Really dark charcoaly grey. It might be called charcoal. And they're actually a really good combination. I thought it would look weird in the colour work because this is really hairy and this isn't at all. This is a merino, but a non-superwash merino, and this is nice Icelandic wool. And I thought you'd better tell that this hasn't got like that same halo, and it's more rounded and more structured. But it's also very bouncy and stretchy. But you can't when it's knit up, so it's worked really well. I didn't want to have to order more yarn just to get one ball of Let Lopi because I'm only using it for a little bit of colour work. So let me show you the jumper. So basically the story is that I knit my mum one of these jumpers a couple of years ago, and my godmother is like a second parent to me, and she's one of those people who you can't really get a present for because she doesn't want anything. When you do give her a present, she usually ends up giving it to somebody else. She doesn't really seem to like having nice things. I think she feels like she doesn't deserve them, which is not true. And so I usually end up just giving her a bottle of red wine because at least she does drink that for every birthday and Christmas. But it's a bit boring because I think everybody does the same thing for her because it's the only thing we know reliably that she would enjoy. And so my mum mentioned a while ago that she really liked my mum's jumper. And I said, I'll knit one. Like, you know, it might take hours, but I'll knit her one. If she seriously wants one, would actually wear it and not give it to somebody else, then I will knit her one. Please, can you talk to her about it and say, look, you know, no pressure to say yes, no pressure, you know, whatever. But don't feel bad to say yes. I would love to knit you one if you want one that badly. Well, even like if you would love it and wear it, then I will make you one. It doesn't have to be the same as my mum's. We can work out, you know, whether she wants one like I've got the Fern and Feather. Could do that one. I could do it in any colour, whatever she wants. And she said no, she wants mum's basically in the same colours. She wants it the same, just in her size and a bit longer. She's a big animal person, a big dog walker, and so she wanted it a bit longer in the body, just to keep her core really warm in the winter. So this is where we're at. So as you can see, it's a bottom up. So my mum knit, I did the ribbing on the bottom, the hem, and then my mum knit the body because it's just straight round and round and round and round and round. My mum's not really used to circular needles, so she didn't want to do any increasing or anything like that. So she knit the body for me whilst I was knitting the sleeves. So that went really well. And then I joined the 3 pieces together That's why there's a bit of a lifeline, because that's when I started doing, I think, short rows and joining things together. And now I'm doing the fun bit, so the colour work. So, I mean, really, I've knit a bit of a wedge on the body, 2 sleeves and the colour work, and my mum did the body. And we have been working on this for a couple of months now, but I'm obviously now really enjoying this bit, doing the colour work. And yeah, I'm about halfway through now. So we did dark trees on the beige, we're now doing light trees on the dark, and then I'm going to use the medium grey next. So I think it'll be medium grey trees on the dark, and then you have a medium grey rib around the neck. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. If you like bottom up colourwork patterns, I do recommend it. It's really easy to follow. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much to say about the pattern, to be honest. I'm not sizing up a needle for my colourwork because I don't tend to find that I need to, unless it's socks. Yes, and once this is washed, it will bloom beautifully and it'll be very snuggly. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm knitting on the Let Lopi on a 5mm needle, so it feels quite like lightweight. Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's my second time knitting the same jumper, but because I knit the other one a couple of years ago, it actually doesn't really feel like I'm knitting the same jumper twice. And in case you're interested, this project bag is from Blue Rabbit House. She had some for sale from an English website a couple of years ago. I think it was Tangled Yarn, and so I bought it from there. It was a treat for a particular reason, I can't remember. I do love a good project bag, and I do use them all, so I don't feel bad about that. So my next project is a Languishing whip, and yes, it is in a Christmas themed bag. This one is from Harriet Wildwood. I normally put it away during the year and get it back out November time, but because the whip was languishing from Christmas time, I've just left it in there, to be honest. I will need to figure out when I pick this back up what row I'm on, because I don't remember. But this beautiful project, I need to make sure I don't drop any stitches. It's going to be hard for you to see because it's quite big. Oh, don't get caught please from the zip. So this is the Find Your Fade by Andrea, and I am knitting it in an advent calendar from Knotty Pine Fibre Co. from a few years ago. And I am 3/4 of the way through. I think I'm on the last page now. And I might run out of yarn. I might have changed some of my colours too quickly. Like, I have more yarn, but the colours I've already gone through, because I thought I had 25 minis and I have 24. Turns out that is going to make, I think, a vital bit of difference at the end. So I might have to repeat one of the colours or 2 colours at the end. I'll pick whatever makes sense. And so it's this earthy, beautiful collection of colours. They don't fade as smoothly as I thought they were going to when I laid it out. But when it's all finished, I will try and get some really good B-roll for you so you can see the colours. The colours are gorgeous. I cannot wait to wear it. I do wish, though, I had knit the Birds of a Feather pattern rather than Find Your Fade, because I prefer the lace in the Birds of a Feather pattern, and it's basically the same thing. I'm not following her fade instructions because her fade instructions are 3 100-gram skeins, and I have got minis, so I didn't need to use the fade instructions. I should have just done the Birds of a Feather. So I'm really enjoying that. I would like to get it finished for autumn. Potentially once I've finished the jumper, I will pick it back up again. I did do quite a lot the other week, but I haven't touched it for a couple of weeks now. And once I've not touched it for a couple of weeks, I kind of forget what I'm doing. And then it takes me a while to psych myself up to get back into it. Because quite often by the time it gets to the evening, I don't have the headspace to psych myself up. Sorry, he's on the move. To work something out. Okay, last knitting project, which is a new one. Just dropped a stitch. Talk about not having any headspace. I might be insane. I've decided to knit a jumper where the pattern is in French. So I was given a couple of these balls of Rowan yarn. Do I have the label? Do I know what it is? I think it's the felted tweed. It says merino wool and alpaca. So it's 50% wool, 25% alpaca, 25% viscose. And it's 175 metres per 50 grams. So I was given a few of those, and although green is one of my favourite colours, this is a bit of a cool green for me. I prefer a warm green, and so I decided that I would knit something for the boy with it. And I wanted to knit something colour work because I was bored and didn't want to do something boring. And so I was looking through some patterns. I couldn't find anything that I wanted, and then I found this pattern in French and thought, how hard can it be? So I did live in France for a couple of years. I do have some very basic French. It is terrible. Cannot have a conversation with somebody. I can barely understand somebody in real life. Yeah, I'm not very good with languages. I understand words separately, and then the minute they're strung together in a sentence, I have no idea what anyone's saying. Yeah, it's bad. I also know, I don't think I ever really had particularly good lessons, so that didn't really help. And I have zero confidence with languages, so I was really shy. So basically, disaster. Anyway, hopefully you can see without me losing stitches. Can you see that that's acorns and leaves? I don't know if you can tell. Acorn, acorn, leaves, pattern. So it's called Little Ginger. The name of it is in English. Don't think I have the name of the designer here. I can't show you this because this is the chart. Oh, Alice Gerfault. Gerfault it's spelled, but you wouldn't pronounce the T, I doubt. Yeah. So it goes from ages 3 months to 12 years. And what I'm knitting now in orange is some squirrels. So it's got acorns, leaves, and then squirrels. My orange yarn is a bit fine in comparison to the others. It's probably more of a light 4-ply, whereas the brown was more like a heavy DK. The cream is a sport weight and the green is a sport weight. So I'm hoping it'll block out okay. But I was trying to knit it without buying anything, and I still wanted the colours to go together and look nice. The white yarn I didn't really want to use because it is one of my Raw Wool Company yarns for my advent calendar, and I was hoping to knit something like quite substantial with that. But I think if I use it as a contrast colour, I should have enough for a big project. But yeah, that's where we're at. So a bit of ribbing, some colour work. The only modification I have made is I did add short rows, only 2 sets, so 4 short rows into the back, because as far as I could tell the pattern had no short rows, and I thought, well, even my 1-year-old deserves short rows, surely. So I did do that. I don't know if the bigger sizes involve short rows. I don't think so. Trying to understand knitting terminology in another language is a little bit tricky. At the moment I'm just knitting from a chart, so it doesn't actually matter what language I'm knitting in. But because I've knit a few jumpers now and understand the basic construction of a top-down jumper, I think that's really helping. But I feel like French knitting is quite clunky. I don't know if you would agree, if you speak French. Everything seems to be more drawn out and longer. Like just the words for a stitch seem to be quite long. So it's not just knit and purl. What is it? I'm sure it was like 2 quite long rows. Well, so we would write in English like M1L for make one left. And this has like, I mean, I can't even pronounce that. Augmentation onto Claire gauche. Like, it's a sentence. So, yeah. Apologies if you speak French, that was dreadful. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with my knitting. If he keeps sleeping for a while, I'm not going to do any more jobs yet. I might quickly tidy his room a little bit because it's slight carnage. I also might not, to be honest. Maybe I'll just do that later when he's in his bouncer. In fact, yeah, I'm not going to. I'm going to sit and knit and watch TV, I think, and just indulge because who knows how long I get. Also, having free time feels like it's coming to an end because I'll either be at work or trying to cram everything in on my off time or trying to make sure he still gets to clubs and classes. The feeling of endless time is going to be over, which is a shame. But anyway, I digress. So I think probably I will do a bit more colourwork knitting after this. I'm not really in the mood to face my sewing. I think I'd rather try and do that tomorrow morning. Because not this weekend, next weekend, we're going to a wedding the wedding party at a zoo. We're not going to the wedding ceremony, which I'm grateful for because baby is also invited. My antenatal class that I signed up to, NCT class, they call it here, because it's the name of the charity is NCT, National Childbirth Trust, I think, which I signed up to because I wanted to meet local mums. We are like a really tight-knit group. It's lovely. There isn't one weak link at all. All 8 of us get on really, really well. Even though we're all very different people, it's amazing. But we all live in the same area. We all work. We're all going back to work. So I guess it's quite nice to have somebody in the same sort of situation as you. And in fact, it's probably the only thing that's keeping me on planet Earth at the moment. But anyway, one of them's getting married. And so we're all going to the party bit at the end with our children. So we'll all be in the same boat of chaosness. It's at the zoo. And so I didn't really have anything to wear for a summer wedding that I could breastfeed in that I thought was appropriate to wear at a zoo. Because I don't want to wear anything too fancy because I'm not going to the actual wedding bit. And the only things I have that I tend to wear to weddings are either more autumn winter or not breastfeeding appropriate. So I had some tencel twill in my stash. It was in a colour I didn't like. I shared a few weeks ago or a few months ago now when I bought it. The colours weren't what I thought when I ordered it. And so I dyed it. And I'm now nearly finished making a Zadie jumpsuit, although it doesn't look it. But I have made some changes. I was very inspired by Thread and Yarn, Lorna. She made a jumpsuit. I was just about to check to see if it was still recording, but I'm just going to carry on. She made a Zadie jumpsuit, but without... So you can see here, there's bias binding all the way around the neck. So all the way around the back, down the front, or the whole opening has bias binding. And so if you want it to match, you need to make the bias binding. And to be honest, I find that annoying and tedious, but I also really liked the clean lines that she had from the one she made, where she made facings and linings. So can you see there's no bias binding here? So watching her video all about the Zadie jumpsuit she's made and having a bit of a chat with her, thank you Lorna, I decided I was going to do the same thing, although mine is a little bit different. So she didn't have that much fabric, so she only did a facing on the back neck. But I decided I would line the whole bodice. So it is 2 layers. So as you can see, I've done some stay stitching on the lining. And so I've got to the point now where I've made the bottom part and the top part, and I just need to finish the crotch area where it opens and then attach the 2 pieces together and maybe clip some stray threads. So I dyed my, this was I think the yellow tencel twill, and I dyed it with a dark blue Dylon pod, so I was hoping this would come out dark blue. It has come out this shade of green instead, which is fine because I like green. It just would have been nice to not have another green jumpsuit. But you know, they're very different. This tencel twill is really floaty and has a bit of a matte silk appearance. This has a more casual look. I'm just hoping the legs stay rolled up how I want them to. If not, I might need to put some tacking stitches in. So yeah, I have decided that... So the problem I was having, and I'll see if I can show you. Can you see the bias binding here? Under the waist. So that bit, I think I'm going to have to put bias binding there still. So that bit will still have bias binding because I can't think of an easy way to face that without losing my seam allowance. So what I did was I cut out all the bodice pieces twice. I'm just trying to think about this in my head. Cut all the bodice pieces twice. I sewed the front and back together on both layers. I hadn't done the darts yet. I then sewed the neckline, so right sides together, sewed the neckline, stay stitched it down. Then I tried to be clever and do the sleeves that way. It didn't work, and so I then folded up and pressed the sleeves and stitched that down. No. I made the belt. I attached the belt to one side. I then did the neckline. I then did the sleeves. So it was all turned the right way out and pressed. So the whole top bit was constructed without the darts. I then did the darts so that the darts were both layers of fabric together, not two separate pieces. I then sort of stay stitched around the bottom to keep the two layers together. I then made the trousers as directed, although I did French seams wherever possible because this fabric is fraying quite a lot. I top stitched the opening for the belt loop. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So depending on how long he sleeps and how much rest I get this morning, I might make some bias binding. I also don't think I can do that at the moment without making a huge amount of noise because the Duplo is where my ironing board should be. So that probably isn't going to happen. It's probably a tomorrow job. Yeah, but once I've done that, hopefully I can join the pieces together and hopefully it suits me and looks nice on me. I can't try the bodice on and it does fit. I did have a panic that I'd made it a size too big because I have made a Zadie jumpsuit a size too big before and I've recently sold it, thankfully, because I'm going to remake it a size smaller. And I was worried I'd cut out the wrong pieces, but it does appear to fit, so that's good. Which means I've either lost or gotten rid of the size too big, which is fine. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So if I finish this before editing this, I will put in some footage of me trying it on, hopefully. And if it looks right, I'm going to wear it with my Lichen duster. Yeah, and some sandals, hopefully. So hopefully it won't look too casual. I used to wear my Lichen duster all the time on a day-to-day basis, but I haven't actually worn it in ages. I've never worn it in front of this group of people, so I'm hoping they'll think it's a bit fancy, even though to me it's just a coat that I've literally worn climbing up a hill on the desert before, which I did in Mexico. But yeah, so that's where we're at. Hopefully that was interesting. I feel like I'm second guessing myself a lot at the moment. I think I've been quite tired and not really myself in my last few videos, and I'm trying to get my energy back. Not energy, my oomph, if that makes sense. I think I just don't have so much time for creative indulgence as I used to, which, indulgence, is that a word? Indulgence, which makes sense, and that is okay, but I miss it a little bit. I was really excited to have half a day to myself tomorrow, but after the various nursery instances, I'm actually now more apprehensive about it. Also, half a day seems like a really long time, but it's also not. because I'd love to clean the whole house, water all the plants, do a bit of gardening, do some sewing, do some knitting, have a rest, do some batch cooking. I can't. I need to pick and choose what's most important and what I can do with the baby. There's just a lot of things I just never do when he's awake, like watering the plants, which is silly because it's easy. But I need to start taking better care of my plants because I don't want them to die. And they look like they're struggling a bit. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to stop blathering. Maybe I will share with you now some other things I've been up to if I do get to do some nice things tomorrow. Another big thing I've been working on is I am renting a cargo bike for 3 months, but it's huge and heavy and I'm not used to it. So I'm hoping that I can get some practice riding it, because in theory I'm riding it to work on Monday, which is a bit scary. I could bike to nursery, come back, and then get on my old bike and bike that to work, but that's a lot of messing around. The nursery I can go to on a cycle path that's not on the road. Going to work I'll have to go on the road, so it's just a little bit more high risk. Actually it'd be a struggle to get back from work, swap bikes and go to the nursery, so it might not be possible at the other end of the day. And also I'll be desperate to get my hands on him, let's face it. So anyway, that's where we're at. I hope you're all doing well. I don't know when I'm next going to get a chance to do a video, because I don't know what the next couple of weeks are going to be like. I don't know if it's going to be really hard, or whether he's going to surprise me, or whether it will be really hard for 2 weeks and then be totally fine. But from what I can gather, they get really ill the first few weeks, so I'm trying not to dwell on that thought too much. We've already had quite a lot of illness in the last few weeks. But yeah, so with that, I'm going to go take my cup of tea upstairs. I'm going to go knit and watch TV and veg out, and then maybe think about doing some jobs. So I hope you had a creative break and pause today and got to sit down and do some knitting and veg out with me. And if you are feeling equally torn between multiple things at the moment and don't really know where your head is, and facing some big life changes, possibly bigger than mine or maybe smaller, but still feels massive, because when it's your change it always feels big to you, then I send you strength, and I hope you send me strength back because I need it. Yeah, and we'll get through it because we have to, there's no choice. So yes, I'm a lot more optimistic than I sound. I'm having some morning wobbles today. But yeah, so I'm going to stop mumbling and leave you there. And someone who is giving me some creative energy at the moment, Melody Hoffman, has released a new series of videos about her homestead life, which is making me question all my life choices, but is also really making me see that I do not have that much determination to live like that. The theory and idea is more beautiful to me than I think the actuality of it is. But I would like to get back to soap making. I would like to get back to doing some of those crafts that she does that I enjoy too. And yes, maybe in some small ways I can perpetuate that psychology on my city kind of space. Yeah. Gardening went out the window this year. I planted a load of seeds and didn't water anything once. I think the sunflowers have grown. Honestly, I've not even looked. So I don't know. We've had no produce, sadly, which is a shame. But, you know, I'm growing a child. Well, I'm not growing the child anymore, but I grew the child and looking after the child. Still feels like I'm growing him because I'm feeding him. But yes. Goodbye. Enjoy your summer or winter or autumn, whatever it is you're going through at the moment, and get some good projects on the go. Yeah, because it definitely helps. Alright, speak to you soon. Bye!